All right, so you have your niche picked, you've got your audience, but now what? Hey everyone, I'm Rachel and I'm happy that you're joining along my step-by-step process on how to create a YouTube channel and how you can do it too. So in week one, you decided on your niche and your audience. And now in week two, we're going to be focusing on our ideal customer, on content pillars and content creation based on our ideal customer. Now, last week was a little bit of a hot mess because I just jumped right in without a real plan at all. But you know what they say, start before you're ready. And it's really true because the more you try to plan and perfect things, the longer you're going to procrastinate them. Now, last week I did talk a little bit about content pillars, but I admitted that I needed a little bit of work to do. And so I decided that I was going to take the entire week to figure out what exactly my content pillars were, what exactly content pillars were in the first place. And I feel like after watching several videos and doing a lot of research that I think I've got them down pat. Now, last week I talked about the content pillars kind of falling under the categories of education, inspiration, and entertainment. But what I kept finding was that when I was thinking about the kind of content that I would create, a lot of my ideas actually fell under two of those components. So I really had to think and reevaluate what my content pillars really should be. So we've talked about niche and audience is important, but I think it's more important when you're trying to figure out what your pillars are going to be or what your content is going to be, your content topics. I think that it's really important for you to come up with an ideal customer, which would be an ideal viewer. I think that many people start out skipping this step because of course you want to reach everybody, you want to reach all kinds of people. But when you're creating your content, I think one of the biggest takeaways that we need to remember is that when you're creating content, you really have to have other people in mind. You have to have your viewers in mind. So what are your viewers learning from you? Why are they deciding to tune in to you? What exactly are they gaining from you? What do they want to see? So even though you might be creating things that you're excited about and passionate about, it's really important to have this one kind of viewer that you think about. This is the person. Anytime I create content, I'm creating it for this particular person. So of course, this is the person that you're going to solve a problem for. Now, I don't even play darts, so I don't know where I came up with this example, but I kind of like to think of your ideal viewer as a bullseye. And so when you're playing darts, your aim is at the bullseye because it gets you the most points, right? Right, I think. So you're always aiming for the bullseye. That bullseye is like your ideal viewer. And even when you land your dart outside of the bullseye, you still earn points. And that's very much like other viewers. The viewers outside of the bullseye might not be your ideal customer or your ideal viewer, but they're probably still going to be people who engage with you or get a little something out of your videos. And of course, when you throw that dart outside of the dartboard or it falls on the ground, that's like people clicking on your video who don't really get much out of it because it's just not their thing or you're just not solving their problem. And that's okay. But of course, your ultimate goal is always to aim towards that bullseye. And in order to have that bullseye, you need to know where your target is, right? So the most important thing is that you come up with an ideal viewer. And this might take a little bit of time, but I really think that it is important. I think that it is so worth it because every time you're creating, you're thinking about this particular person that you've created. I'm actually going to share with you my ideal viewer. I took some time to create this avatar. Of course, it's totally fictional, but I would like to share it with you. We're going to think about who that person is, where they live, what their occupation is, what their personality type is. As much as you can make up about this person, this is what you're going to create. So I'll share mine with you. All right, my ideal viewer, her name is Kate. Kate is 42 years old and lives with her husband and two children. She is an elementary school teacher who isn't sure she wants to stick with her current occupation and is looking at other options. Kate sometimes feels overwhelmed and looks toward other people to help lift her up. Kate loves the idea of becoming self aware and believes lifelong learning is the key to growth and happiness. She is constantly looking for ways to have better time management and successfully set and achieve her goals. She gets excited to create goals for herself, but often finds herself losing motivation when the going gets tough. During these tough times, she tends to blame the obstacle as her reason for setting her goal aside, even though deep down she knows it is her who needs to be accountable for pushing that goal aside, not whatever it is going on in her life that makes for an easy scapegoat at the time. She is considering beginning an online business, but is nervous about what everyone else might think. She knows fear is what holds her back, but she also knows that just knowing this fact isn't always enough to push her past her comfort zone. She wants to figure out what to do about that. She likes listening to motivational podcasts and practices being an optimist. Although she practices gratitude daily, she has recently found herself looking for something more, but is frustrated that she doesn't know what that might be. Friends often come to her seeking advice, and this has been one of the reasons that she wants to consider an online business of sorts. She understands how motivated a person can get simply by listening and learning strategies from others, and believes that sharing her knowledge could empower other women in similar situations. Unfortunately, Kate isn't completely clear on how to do this. She has so many questions, but is unsure who to ask or where to begin. So she does what she does best. She begins looking for someone who can inspire her to learn how to do this. All right, so as you can see, I really took my time developing Kate. I really looked into who I believe she is, what her problems are, what she needs in her life, what she has in her life, what she loves in her life. So now when I go to create my content pillars, which are really just topics, I'm going to think about Kate. I'm going to think about what inspires Kate. What problem can I solve for Kate? How can I educate her? How can I entertain her? What are the things that I need to do that will help Kate in her situation? So take a few minutes to develop your Kate. And then what I want you to do is I want you to think about, if I were to make a list of my ideal viewers' needs, what would that look like? Now, let me share you my list for Kate. I believe that the things that Kate is going to click on when she comes searching on YouTube are going to be things like goals and goal setting information. She's probably going to look for some sort of mindset shifts, challenges, or confidence growth. She's going to click on things that have to do with time management, agendas, accountability. She's going to want to click on things that have to do with communication and relationships, not because she seems to be struggling in her personal life, but because she wants to be able to help other people. So it's important to know those sorts of topics. And finally, she's going to want to click on things like creating habits and decision making. So now that I have the list of topics that I believe, based on my avatar of Kate, the things that she's going to want to seek out, or the things that will attract her eye when she sees those thumbnails and titles, I've got a whole set of ideas, a whole set of topics that now I can start to develop content around. Next week, when I go into the platform, in this case, YouTube, to study my competitors, I will be able to see what sort of content other people are creating around time management, decision making, relationships, agendas, all of that stuff. And that will help me take my 5 topics and split them up into different content ideas. Please remember that the expert was also a beginner once. And I think that that is an important takeaway for this week, because if you are just starting out, the very beginning is always the hardest. There are so many skills that you're trying to acquire, and it is really easy to hit roadblocks and obstacles and have those things be the reason that you just throw your hands in the air and give up. But remember that when you look at all of the experts out there, they started off in the exact same place that you and I both are. So do not give up, but trust your own journey. I'll see you in the next one.